Some people might recall the momentary buzz caused in 2009 by a particularly odd Morrowind mod. The file name was jvk1166z.esp. It was never posted on any of the larger Elder Scrolls communities, only smaller boards and role-playing groups. I know in a few cases, rather than being posted, it was sent via PM or email to a chosen few. It was only up for a few days to the best of my knowledge. It caused a buzz because it was a virus, or it seemed to be. If you tried to load the game with the mod active, it would hang at the initial load screen for a full hour and then crash the desktop. If you let it get it that far, your install of Morrowind, along with any save files that you would have, became completely corrupted. Nobody could figure out what the mod was trying to do since it couldn't be opened in the construction set. Eventually, warnings were distributed not to use it if you found it, and things died down. About a year later, in a mod board that I used to frequent, somebody popped up with the mod again. Now, he said he was PM'd by a lurker who deleted his account immediately after sending. He also said that this person advised him to try playing the mod through DOSBox. For some reason, and this worked, sort of. The game was a bit laggy, you couldn't get into the options, the load game, the console, or really anything else other than the game itself. And the quick save and the quick load hot buttons worked, but that was it. And the quick save file seemed to be part of the game file, so you couldn't get at it anymore. Some speculated that the changed game used an older graphics renderer, making DOSBox necessary, but it didn't look any different. Now, this part I can speak about from personal experience. When you start a new game in JVK, as the board came to call it, once you leave the starting bit in the census office, you come into the game proper. The first thing that you notice is that the prophecy has been severed box pops up. And this is because every single NPC having to do with the main quest is dead, with the sole exception of Yagran Bagan, the last of the Dwemer. Their corpses never despawn, so you can go and check on all of them. In effect, you begin in a world that is doomed to start with. The second thing you notice is that you're losing health. It's only a bit, but it keeps happening a little bit at a time. The longer you stay in one place, the quicker it seems to occur. If you let this health loss kill you, you'll find the cause. A figure we came to call the Assassin, because he seemed to wear a retextured version of the Dark Brotherhood armor from Tribunal, even though the expansions don't work in JVK. It's all black, completely untextured, just like he's a hole in space. And the way he moves? Well, he gave me quite the start the first time I saw him scuttling around my dead body. He crawls inhumanly on his hands and feet, his arms and legs splayed out like a spider. You'd usually only see him after death, crawling around and all over your body just before the reload box popped up. Occasionally, you could catch a glimpse of him darting around a corner or crawling on a wall or ceiling. It made the game very difficult to play in the dark. Other than that, the only noticeable difference is that at night, at random intervals, every NPC in the game will go outside for a few minutes. And during this time, the only thing they will say when hailed is, "Watch the sky." Once they return to their normal behavior, they act regularly though. After a while, a player on the board discovered that a new NPC named Tyeris, a male Dunmar in the Temple of Ghostgate. Two things are noticeable about this NPC. First is his robe, a unique article of clothing that was lovingly rendered with twinkling stars all across it, looking like a torn off chunk of the night sky. And the second is that all of his dialogue, in addition to showing up in the dialogue box, is voiced. You can skip it if you wish, but it all sounds like it's in the default male Dunmar voice. Some people say they thought the voice was slightly different, but it was a very good impression. I won't go into details, but the quest line he sends you on has to do with a dungeon referred to simply as the Citadel. Up until this point, the quests were all of a fairly generic discover the secrets of the ancients type. The entrance to this dungeon is on a small island far to the west of Morrowind proper. I eventually discovered that if you use a scroll of Icarian flight in the westernmost point of the main landmass and jump directly west, you'd end up almost exactly at that island. Even though the dungeon is called the Citadel, it goes straight down. It dwarfs any other dungeon both in size and difficulty. From a natural cave area, you'll proceed down to an ancestral tomb-looking area, and then a Daedric ruin area, and then a Dwemer ruin area. I made it down to the Dwemer ruins before I quit. The creatures were so strong that a level 20 character would have had to take care. And since you can't use the console in JVK, level 20 took a while to get. Since quick save and quick load are your only options, it's all too easy to get yourself into an impossible situation. And I did. And I didn't have the energy to start over. What I'm telling you now is based on the testimony of those few who went further. Past the Dwemer ruins, you apparently find yourself in a level like the Dwemer ruins but darker. Rather than the usual bronze, all the surfaces, including those of the creatures, are black. The sounds of machinery are loud here, and they grow louder still, randomly. There's also a steam of fog everywhere, limiting your visions to about 10 in-game feet or so. If you make it through all this, you'll reach a room at the end of the hall. Those who found it called it the portrait room. Like the fires and torches in other effects from early 3D games, this room has picture frames that always face directly at you no matter how you look at them. The image in the frames are always randomly chosen images from your My Pictures folder. On the board, the ones who got to this point had some fun posting screenshots of the portrait room with various pictures in the frame, usually porn, of course. At the end of the hall was another locked door. After admitting defeat and returning to Tieris, he could be found saying, "Watch the sky," in his gravelly voice. What's more is that nobody else in the game would say anything. Talking to them would present a completely blank dialogue box with no options at all. They wouldn't even rattle off the usual candid audible greetings. The only exception was at night. Whenever they'd go out for a few minutes, they'd repeat it. "Watch the sky." At this point, one of the players, a friend of mine from the board, noticed, and a few others who got this far agreed, that the night sky was no longer the usual night sky of Tamriel. It had changed to a depiction of a real night sky. And it moved. From this point on, everything is based on what this one person reported. Eventually he got himself kicked from the board, but I kept in contact with him for as long as he responded. According to him, based on the constellations and planets, the sky started around February 2005. If you died, loaded, or went back to the Citadel, it would start over. When the usual dark sky graphics took over, the movement would be suspended until the stars appeared again. In the space of a single night, everything would move about 2 months' worth. Since the timescale of JVK was more or less that of a standard game, that meant that a bit less than an hour was equal to a 24-hour period. He became convinced that the door would open based on some kind of celestial event. Of course, waiting for that meant leaving the game running. Of course, that meant that the game would be left unattended thanks to our old friend, the assassin. And my friend decided he'd hang out for a whole day, just to see if anything happened. That would be about a year's worth of movement. Here's the post he made at the end of this experiment. "I loaded in Seydanine, where it all starts. It wasn't too bad, just had to check in now and then, move around and heal and make sure I wasn't dying. But check it out. 24 hours exactly in, the assassin learns a new trick. He screams. I was reading and all of a sudden this crazy loud shriek just about makes me crap myself. It was like something out of a horror movie. I look up and there he is, just crouched down right in front of me. Of course, the second I moved my character, he ran off. When I went back to the portrait room, the door was still locked. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it." A bit later, he came to the decision that he needed to wait 3 days. 3 years. His reason was that the PM advising us to try DOSBox showed up in February of 2008. And that was the point he needed to get to. After the first shriek, the assassin stops hitting you out of nowhere. Now, he'll shriek, and if you don't move for a few seconds after that, he hits you. I think whoever made the mod was trying to help. At night, I've got my headphones on and I was just kind of dozing off when he wakes me up with a shriek. I jiggle the mouse, and I'm good. That post was 2 days in from his laptop. Once it was over, fuck, I'm so fucking done. So, I wait the 3 days, right? And right after the fucking assassin made me jiggle the mouse, he shrieks again. So I look, and everyone in the town is outside. They're all saying, watch the sky. I don't see anything though. But then the game starts getting dark. Like, really dark. I turn the brightness all the way up on my monitor and I can still barely see. There are other people in the game. Little figures running around in the distance, just going back and forth. If I try to get close, they run off. Now, I was trying to sleep so the lights were off, and this was kind of creepy. I didn't want to get up and turn on my light because I didn't want to miss anything, but nothing fucking happens. Eventually, I go to the Citadel. It was still dark, and I had to swim, and the whole time I could see these guys swimming all around me, just barely there. I make it to the Citadel, and it's normal light inside, and I get worried. Sure enough, the portrait door is still fucking closed. I go outside, and it's all starting over. So that's it. I'm fucking going to bed. I'm fucking done. The end. After that, 2 things happened. First, someone else who got to the portrait room claimed that the assassin was showing up in his regular Morrowind game. A quick explanation, if you reinstall Morrowind to a different folder, you could have a normal Morrowind install along with JVK. He himself chalked it up to an overactive imagination at first, but he reported a couple of really big scares with the black figure crawling right at him or seeing it waiting just around a corner before scuttling off. Another of those who reached the portrait room started a regular Morrowind game, but never saw him for sure. It was just a couple of maybes, late at night, and always at a distance. The second is that my friend started getting really abusive and short-tempered on the board, though he stopped talking about JVK entirely. It got so bad that he was soon kicked off. I didn't hear anything from him for a couple of weeks after that, so I sent him an email. This was part of his reply. I know I shouldn't have, but with classes out, I have some time, so I started JVK up again. It's almost 2011, and I think I've got the sleep madness. But stuff is happening. It's still dark. Once it gets dark, it never gets any lighter. It stays like that. The people moved a few months ago. Everyone in Satanin just went to that little bandit cave and moved in. They killed the bandits inside, and now they're just standing around. They don't say anything anymore. They don't do anything when you click on them. I quick-saved and killed one, and he just stood there until he died without fighting back. And it's like that everywhere. You have to walk since the quick travel people are all in caves now too, but all the cities and towns are deserted. The people are in caves and tombs. Everyone in Vivek is down in the sewers. I'm going to Ghostcase next. I want to see if Tyrus is still there. I'll tell you what he says when I get there. I replied and I said I wanted to see what he had to say too, and waited a day. When I didn't get a reply, I mailed him again, and a couple of hours later, he sent back, "Sorry, I totally forgot, so it's 2014 now? Since it's always night, the stars are always moving. The whole screen is dark, but you can still see the brightest stars moving around. Tyrus was gone. Everyone in Ghostgate was gone. I don't know where they went. They're not in any of the nearby caves. But there's new stuff. People still don't say anything, but their eyes are bleeding. It's so dark that even with a light spell, you have to get right up against them to see, but there they are. Little dark streaks coming down from their eyes. I think I gotta be getting close. I know this is stupid and there's no way the payoff is going to be worth it, but I just want to be able to say I stuck it out. I got that one during the day. Later that night, I received a follow-up email. Some of the planets aren't moving right. It's pissing me off. If this keeps up, I won't be able to keep track anymore. It's almost 2015 now? I think. Fuck. You know, I just noticed that there aren't any monsters anymore either. I'm completely alone outside now. The main quest people's bodies are still lying around though. I went to check on them. I don't need headphones anymore, so I just leave them off. When he shrieks, it's like he's screaming right into my ear. I think I even kind of anticipate it. He's around a lot more now. A lot closer. He's different from the other people who started showing up, remember? They keep running around where I can barely see them. I have to admit, it's kind of creepy at night. Sometimes when I go to the bathroom or whatever, I swear I can see someone, something out of the corner of my eye. I'm keeping all the lights on now. I sent him a letter jokingly telling him to get some real sleep, and left it at that. 2 mornings later, I found this in my email. It was the last thing I got from him. After it, he stopped responding completely. I just got up from a fucked up dream, I think. The assassin shrieked at me, and when I opened my eyes, he was right there, crouching over me. His arms and legs were longer and more like a spider's. I tried to push him away, but when I touched him, my hands went inside and I couldn't get them loose again, like he was made of tar or something. And then I woke up. I thought he was gone, but when I looked at the monitor, I wasn't where I was. I was in the corpusarium with Yagram. For once, the light was okay and I could see him all bloated on those mechanical spider's legs. I sat down at the computer and he started talking to me. Not in a box, but really talking to me in Tyaris's voice. He knew things about me. He told me things that I'd never told anyone, and some things I had totally forgot about. He told me that almost nobody had made it this far, and that the door would open soon. I just had to hang on a little while longer. He said I'd know when it was time. He said I might be the first one to see what was inside. And then I woke up for real. But I was at the computer. I still wasn't where I was. Right now, I'm swimming out to the Citadel Island. And I can hear this tapping. It's at my window. It's over on the left. So I'm sending you this because I left my laptop by my bed to the right. Just a little tap, 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 tap. Like he's knocking his finger against the glass. I might still be dreaming now. I guess that's the end of the story. I know there are a few other tales floating around about this mod, but this is the only one I know is true, as far as it goes. I deleted my JVK copy of the game pretty much right after I gave up, but I'd like to get the mod again, if anyone still has a copy of the file. I want to see some of this for myself.